This is the Variables and Patterns Test 1 Study Guide, problem number 2. The problem reads, a camping supply store rents camping gear for $50 per person. A says, using intervals of 5 campers, make a table showing the total rental charge for 0 to 50 campers. The first thing we need to figure out is which is the independent and which is the dependent variable, and what are the actual variables themselves. The two variables are campers and rental charge, or something along those lines. Like if you wrote customers and total costs, that would work. But let's use the words they have, campers and total or rental charge. Now when we look at this statement, we'll see that the rental charge is going to depend on how many campers there are. Because the camping supply store rents camping gear for $50 per person. So the charge is going to depend on the campers. So since the rental charge depends on how many campers, the rental charge would be the dependent variable. So by default, the campers would be the independent. And as we mentioned in the previous problem, the independent variable goes on the top of a horizontal table. So we're going to put campers here and rental charge here. And the rental charge is measured in dollars for the units. Now this problem's kind of easy because they're actually telling you exactly what to put here. It says using intervals of 5 campers, make a table showing the total rental charge for 0 to 50 campers. So they're telling us exactly what to put in here. Start at 0, go to 50, and go by 5s. So now we have our independent variable set up with all of its intervals. Now we got to figure out the rental charge as per the number of customers. The rental charge is $50 per person, so if you had 0 campers or 0 people, 0 times 50 is 0. If there were 5 campers at $50 per person, 5 times 50 is 250. 10 campers would yield 10 times 50 is 500. And so on and so forth. We got to fill out the rest of the table. So we have all our numbers filled out. All we were doing is multiplying 50 by the number of campers to get our answers here. Alright, so what did they say again? It said using intervals of 5 campers, make a table showing the total rental charge for 0 to 50 campers. It looks like we have everything. We have our variables. We have all of our intervals for both the x and y for the independent and dependent variables, so we're good to go. B says, make a coordinate graph of this data. Make sure to include all necessary elements. In class, we talk about let's get rid of the easy things first. So what's one real quick and easy thing we can do? Add a title. As long as your title makes sense and it goes along with the problem, it doesn't have to be the exact same thing that I put here. For mine, I'm going to put camping gear rentals. Now the next easy thing would be to add in our 2 variables. And we have 2 different types of variables. We have an independent variable and a dependent variable. The independent variable always goes on the x-axis, and the dependent variable goes on the y. We already figured out which is which when we placed them in the chart, or in the table. So now looking back, we always know that the independent is going to be at the top of the horizontal table. So we know our independent variable is going to be on our x-axis, so campers is going to go right here. And I also labeled my x and y axis while I was at it. You don't have to do that, but I think it's a very good habit to get into. Alright, so now that we have the variable campers as our independent on the x-axis, we want to put rental charge as our dependent variable on the y-axis. Alright, now we got the easy stuff out of the way. Now we need to actually put our scale for our independent variable, or you could call it set of intervals, as well as our scale for the dependent variable. Well, we have some numbers laid out here in the table, and they're consistently going up by the same number every time, the same amount. So since they're increasing by the same amount, we can actually put those numbers right down on our x-axis. And another good practice is to shoot for about 10 intervals or close to it, and we've got about 10 intervals here. Now we got to do the y-scale for the rental charge variable. Now here we got lucky because on the y-scale they're going up by the same number every time. They're going up by 250. So because they're going up by even numbers, we can put these as our set of intervals. Okay, so now that we have our two scales set, all we need to do is plot the points. We know the independent would be the x part of the coordinate, and the dependent would be the y part of the coordinate. So for example, our second coordinate point would look like this. We would go right 5, up 250. So we want to plot these in order. So the first one is to go right 0, up 0. So we're going to put our point right here. And then, as we just said, right 5, up 250. Then right 10, up 500. Now, with both of these going up by even amounts, we got real lucky. We're just going to keep putting them on the corners. Right 20, up 1,000. We go over to 35. Right 35, up 1,750. They're all lying on the corner, so it's nice and easy. Okay, now we have our points plotted, our coordinate points. B again said make a coordinate graph of this data. Make sure to include all necessary elements. And we did. We've got everything in there, so we're done B. C is asking us, is the graph linear? Why or why not? The answer is yes, because the points lie in a straight line. They're going up at a constant rate. This ends the video tutorial for Variables and Patterns Test 1, question number 2. Thank you.